Hi everyone, today I want to talk about some lenses that are not often used for DSLR video, like this Canon 100-400mm lens, which I got a while ago, about 2 years before I started using Canon 5D Mark II for my video needs. Ever since I got the 5D Mark II, I've only used this lens once, and that was only for the test video anyway, so I can't really justify keeping such an expensive lens for my occasional photography needs and for a very occasional video shot. So I decided to have a look on eBay what's available for a much lower price that would still give me a 400mm reach with a similar aperture and autofocusing on Canon DSLRs. So I ended up buying two lenses which are very similar. So now I'm gonna go ahead and show you the other two lenses. I'm gonna compare all three of them. I'm gonna then shoot a quick test video of the same scene with all three lenses set to the same settings, so you guys can judge the results yourself. I hope this video will help you with your future lens choices, and hopefully it will save you some money too. Okay, so the first one is the Tamron 200-400mm lens with a constant aperture of 5.6. The focusing throw is quite short and the focusing ring is easy to turn. Next up is the Tokina 400mm prime, which offers autofocusing on Canon DSLRs. It's a solid, well-built lens with a long throw, easy to turn focusing ring, which is particularly good for manual focusing. And to put things into perspective, here's the high-end competitor, the Canon 100-400mm lens with its image stabilization, which is really useful. This lens has a little stiff short throw focusing ring and no hard stops, which is not particularly good for manual focusing. And here I've placed all three lenses next to each other. As you can see, the Tamron is the shortest when not extended, the Canon is a bit longer, and the Tokina is the longest lens. But let's remember that Tokina is already at 400mm, the Canon is at 100, is at 200mm. All three lenses have the tripod collars, which are essential to take the weight of the camera bodies and also add the stability to the shots. The Canon has the widest body, and Tokina appears to be the most compact, but in reality they all weigh about the same. In terms of build quality, all of them are quite impressive, with Canon obviously being probably the best and Tokina not being far behind. All three lenses come with the lens hood. The Tamron has the longest lens hood, as you can see here. Next up is the Canon lens hood, which is a bit shorter but wider. And the Tokina has an inbuilt lens hood which just extends, and unlike the other two, which are plastic, the Tokina one, as you can see with the lens hoods, the length goes other way around, with Tokina being the shortest lens and Tamron being the longest lens out of three. Now I'm gonna show you how they look fully extended. So here's the Tamron and Canon, which is a bit shorter, and Tokina stays the same because it is already at 400mm. So just to show you how long these lenses actually are, I'm gonna put a Samyang 35mm lens, which is already quite a big lens, and as you can see it's much shorter than the other three, especially the Tamron, which is twice as long as the Samyang. So let's now move on to the test footage. So the first one is Canon 100-400mm lens set at 400mm with an aperture of 5.6 and ISO at 800. It was a very moody, overcast day, which is the reason for such a high ISO. On a sunny day it would be around 160 or 320. This lens is hard to focus with without introduced camera shake due to its stiff focusing ring and also its length when fully extended, although the image stabilization on this lens does remove some camera shake. And here's a 400% crop on the timeline of a photo shot on this Canon lens. Next is a Tamron with the same settings at 400mm, and as you can see the shake is very obvious because this lens is the longest one out of three and it doesn't have any image stabilization. The image quality appears quite similar to Canon, although this lens is about 5 times cheaper. And here's a 400% timeline crop of a photo shot with this lens. And the last one is Tokina, again 400mm, f5.6 at 800 ISO. This lens produces the least camera shake due to its length and also a nice smooth focusing ring. Again, image quality appears to be very similar to Tamron and even Canon lens. And here's a 400% timeline crop of a photo shot with this lens. Let's have a look at the close-ups one more time, one after another. If you want to have a better look at these close-ups, I'll also post them on my website. Don't forget to visit my website budgetfilmmaker.co.uk for a full write-up on these lenses, including my personal opinion on each of them, and also subscribe to my YouTube channel to make sure that you don't miss my future tests and my future reviews.